another day begins. Purattasi, the sacred time. I woke up early, as I always do, trying to ground myself in something familiar. I performed my puja, lighting the 3 lamps with a sense of reverence. There's a comfort in rituals. The simple act of lighting a flame, drawing a kolam, feels like it holds things together, even if just for a fleeting moment. But today, that moment was brief. So brief. The day unfolded in ways I should have expected, but somehow it still caught me off guard. My father-in-law once again began shouting at my mother-in-law, the same anger, the same words. I've heard it before, yet each time it cuts through the air, sharp and heavy. And as if it weren't enough, my husband joined in, not to calm things down, but to push his father further, throwing words like stones into the already troubled waters. I stood there, watching, feeling the weight of their voices pressing down on me. What could I do? What should I do? I went to the kitchen, knowing I'd be asked to make tea. That's when it happened. The cardamom glass bottle slipped from my hands and shattered on the floor. Just a glass bottle, right? But the way they reacted, you'd think something far more precious had broken. My mother-in-law didn't yell, but she kept repeating it. Today is a festival day, and the bottle broke. Again and again, as if the words themselves held some deeper meaning, as if they were a warning or an omen. My husband, too, had his say. I stood there, feeling like a child who had been scolded for spilling milk. Why did this feel so much bigger to them than it really was? It wasn't the bottle that broke. It was something in the air between us. Something fragile I couldn't name. The day dragged on. We sat for lunch, but it felt like we were all sitting miles apart, barely touching the same reality. I ate because I had to, but there was no joy in it, no connection. Later, my husband came to my room. I could feel it before he even spoke. The coldness, the edge in his voice. He asked again, as he has so many times now, about the divorce. Why hadn't I given it to him yet? He said he had to win. Win. As if this was all a game to him. As if our lives, our marriage, the years we've spent together were nothing more than moves on a chessboard. I don't understand how he can think this way. He doesn't even see that I'm not trying to fight him. I've never fought him. I've just been here, existing, trying to make sense of a world that seems to be falling apart. And yet, in his mind, it's all a contest, something to be won or lost. His affair, it's been the shadow hanging over us, the thing neither of us speaks of, but both of us feel. He doesn't understand how much it hurt, how deeply it cut. The other woman didn't even know he was married. She had no idea that for 8 years we had shared a life together. And still, he talks about winning, about divorce, as if none of it matters. After he left, I felt hollow, but there's nothing new in that. His words lingered in the air long after he'd gone, filling the silence with something heavy and cold. And then, as if the day hadn't already been strange enough, the Varahi Amman statue arrived. He had me order it online for him, as he often does. He tells me what to order, and I do it, without question. It's become a habit, just like everything else. He performed his puja with great care, pouring all his attention into the statue, into the rituals. I wondered, briefly, if the devotion he showed to that statue was something I would ever see directed at me. But that's a thought I quickly pushed aside. It didn't matter. As the evening came, my mother-in-law and my husband went to sleep in the same room, a routine that seems to bring them comfort. But soon after, my father-in-law knocked on my door. He wanted me to tell my mother-in-law to come to his room. I didn't want to get involved, didn't want to be pulled into their constant back and forth. But then my husband interfered, asking me to tell his father not to speak badly to him. The same man who speaks to me in ways that often leave me feeling small and insignificant, asking me to protect him from the very thing he does to me. It's not that I'm angry, just tired. Tired of these loops we're all caught in. We hurt each other in ways that we can't even name, and yet we keep doing it, over and over again. Later in the evening, I was still too upset to eat. I didn't feel hungry, even though I hadn't had much all day. I talked to a stranger for a while, someone who didn't know me, just to escape my thoughts. It helped a little, enough to make me eat something at least. After that, I called my mother. Talking to her always makes me feel like I can breathe again. For almost an hour, I told her about my day, and she listened, offering comfort in the way only a mother can. And that gave me the strength I needed to go to the gym. I thought to myself, why should I give up my routine? Why should I let everything else take this from me too? What will happen, will happen, but I can at least hold on to this one thing. The gym was full of people, but I felt alone with my thoughts. I worked out, trying to push the day out of my mind, but it kept creeping back in. And then, just as I thought I might have found some peace, one of the machines fell on my head. It wasn't serious, but it shook me. The gym owner and the coaches rushed over, helping me, making sure I was okay. Their kindness felt strange, like something I wasn't used to anymore. It's amazing how rare those small acts of care can feel when you're surrounded by so much indifference. When I got home, I told my husband about what had happened. He asked about it, but his concern felt shallow, like a formality. He told his parents too, even though I had asked him not to. I knew they'd use this as an excuse to stop me from going to the gym again, just like they did before. My mother-in-law has always been subtle in her ways of limiting me, putting restrictions on where I can go and what I can do. But despite all of that, I kept going. I wasn't going to let them take this from me. I remembered when I won that bronze medal in the gym's bench press competition. I didn't think I'd win anything, and neither did my husband. He was surprised, and for a brief moment, he even complimented me. But then, as quickly as it came, he turned it into something else. He showed the medal to his parents, making fun of them, laughing at the whole thing. What was he trying to prove? Why did he feel the need to turn my small victory into something to mock? I still don't understand. Was it pride? Was it something else? I don't know. And now, as I sit here, I can't stop thinking about the twitch in my right eye. It's been flickering for 3 days now. They say it's a bad omen for women, but maybe it's just my body's way of reacting to all the stress. In this house, everything feels like a sign, a warning, a symbol of something darker. My husband spent 2 hours in the bathroom after we got home, sitting there with his tablet. It's become his routine, his escape. And when he finally came out, instead of his usual harsh words, he simply said, "Good night," and went to sleep in another room. Maybe the gym incident made him hesitate. Or maybe he just didn't have the energy for conflict today. But his absence didn't bring any comfort. It just left me with more thoughts, more questions. Sometimes I wonder if silence is the answer. Maybe if I stop speaking, stop engaging, stop trying to make sense of it all, I'll find some peace. But they always find a way to pull me back in, to drag me into their world of arguments, conflicts, and unspoken tension. I don't know if anyone will ever truly understand what it feels like to live like this, to feel like I'm drifting through each day, caught between other people's battles, their expectations, their disappointments. I try to hold on to the small things that keep me grounded, the puja, the gym, my conversations with my mother, but sometimes it feels like even those are slipping away. And yet I keep going, because that's what I've always done.